Welcome back to some more views from Tumortown. First, I have to continue to apologize. I mean, I cough because of the cancer all the time. It's annoying, and I cough. There's not a video I don't think I'm going to be able to do that I'm not going to have to cough at some point somewhere, whatever. And if you notice in these videos, sometimes I may seem to feel or appear to be, a bit more upbeat, a bit more animated than other times. And that's just because at this stage of my disease, I just, I have more bad days than good days, you know, and I just got to force myself to get these videos done, good days or bad days at this point. And so I'm just pushing through them, and I apologize for that, if I'm not as ebullient as I might be, but I hope you'll understand and you'll stick with me and, whatever. Now, today video, I want to talk about quarter midgets because it was an area of my life that I'm assuming a lot of kids never get to have. Quarter midget, if you're not familiar with what I'm saying, is basically a go-kart with a body on it, a little fiberglass, body to make it look like a little car, like a race car. Now, when I was in elementary school, there was a little, probably it was an eighth of a mile oval, something like that. A little banked, uh, oval track that was at one of the main, social parks at one of the big lakes nearby in our neighborhood. And my dad one day mistakenly took me out to watch these kids on the weekend racing their quarter midgets, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to do this," So I hassled them every night. Where's my quarter midget? Did you bring home a quarter midget? Where's my quarter midget? When are we getting a quarter midget? So, bum, 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 bum. And that Christmas, of course, probably one of the greatest Christmases of all time for me. Kind of like, the getting that Red Ryder rifle thing, I got up when I was ready to get up, boy. I got up in the dark. I stumbled out there and I hit that front tire with my foot in the dark out in the living room. Oh man, oh man. I knew exactly what it was. I climbed in. That was it. I was over the moon. And I had a quarter midget. Now my quarter midget was a little different than most. At the time, most quarter midgets were rather boxy and squarish looking. Mine was very sleek and slender. It had the look of a current Formula One car of the day, rather than like a big stock car. So I looked totally different than everybody else. And of course, my father, being, North Carolina, he had the car painted white with a North Carolina blue pinstripe with the number 22 to signify Charlie Choo Choo Justice, who was a famous running back from the University of North Carolina football team of that period, back in the day when my dad was in college. And it was Team Tar Heel, and the mechanic was Wilbur Wright. Believe it or not, there was a guy in our neighborhood in College Park who had a garage, a mechanic named Wilbur Wright. Go figure, you know. So, I had my little leather jacket and my helmet, man. I was jamming, and it involved, got my brothers involved because by then my brother Don was with us. He had been adopted or fostered, whatever you want to call it. He was a permanent dependent of our family at that point. So, we started going out to the weekends, So my mother would go to the booth and she would, write all the race finishes and keep track of laps and so forth. My dad would call the race on the PA system. My two brothers would, help set the car up, push things around, because I was the driver, I had to be, concentrated and focused on what I was doing, which was driving. And I mean, let's be honest about it. When you're on a little oval like that, your driving skill isn't really that important. It's really who's got the fastest car, because you got to be pretty incompetent not to win a race with the fastest car on a little oval track like that. That's not a road race. So I learned pretty quick, how you maneuvered. You got to swing a guy out, swing him in. If you're going to take him high, take him low, But but you're going to take him because you're faster, and there's nothing you can do about it unless he's going to break the rules and run you off the road, right? So, and our car was in great shape, and for the next, probably 2 years, 3 years, we ran first place all the time. We ran first for each season. One season we went undefeated. It was just an amazing run that we had. And the way it worked is it was all divided into classes. You had novice and, then junior, stock, senior stock, And after the first year, I'm like, Dad, I don't need to be a novice. We need to move up because we're making jokes of these guys, we're kicking ass, But he was, oh, no, you need to go one step at a time, So I never really did in my career get all the way up to senior stock where I should have been, probably from the get-go. But, that was my father. What are you going to do, At one point, I think it was like 3 years in, we had a regional championships come to our town. We hosted it at our track. And that was really exciting because that was the first time was really going to have the opportunity to race against kids from other places with, other cars. And we got to watch kids that were racing cars that were much faster than we were, But as luck would have it, in the very first race of the tournament, a kid pushed me right on the outside, drove me right out into the hay bales, up into a post, broke the front axle. That was it. I was out. I got maybe half a race in for that whole tournament. I was devastated. I looked forward to that for so long. I wanted to compete so badly, and there I was, out. But that ended up leading to the end initially because the car never ran the same again. So after that, it was a challenge for us not to end up in last. And so, my dad didn't really kind of put the effort in. He'd lost interest, and so forth. The marriage wasn't going well. He was thinking down the road, of other things. And so it all kind of went to hell in a handbasket. Nobody really cared in the family anymore. And I just ended up in last place every day on every race. So about a year and a half later, we finally said enough is enough. It's over. Goodbye. And I quit my quarter midget racing career. It's a shame because I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. And it was something that, none of the other kids that I knew in school in my neighborhood were doing. I was the only one. And, it was, the thrill of racing. Now, I also have to say, that there was a element of racing that was in us in any case, simply because of my mother's relationship with the town of Sebring. So that played into it as well. But the Sebring is another video unto itself, so you'll have to watch that one to kind of put that together with this. But it was bittersweet when we stopped racing, but, everything has to come to an end. So we did, and, c'est la vie. I have the home movies and the pictures to look back on of my lovely racing career. And it was what it was. And I would do it all again. And I would encourage anybody with a youngster, if you can afford it, do a little bit of quarter midget racing or go-kart racing, because it's just a heck of a lot of fun. All right, that's it for that one. Peace, everybody. Hang 10.